What is up, guys, and welcome to the first edition of the State of the Universe Address. I am your host, Renoah Young, live here in the 2 Pro studio, bringing you guys what will be one of the biggest tell-all interviews in all of professional wrestling history. We're going to be joined by the man behind a PROJAKED'S, so you're not going to want to miss this. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the State of the Universe Address. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be in 2 Pro Studios once again.
Yeah, hopefully, this time turns out better.
Yeah, hopefully this time, we don't have a certain strike by a certain rival company.
All right. Well, for the fans watching at home, the premise of this video is essentially to ask relatively, I would say, controversial topics to, of course, the man behind PROJAKED. Starting things off, we know that the women's division is actually new, or making its return back into the series. When you look at promotions such as Shimmer and Shine and what they're able to do with their talent, what do you see out of this women's division?
Well, let's just take a moment to I want to actually take a moment to thank Shimmer and Shine. One, for taking the women that I released 2 years ago, bringing them back, bringing them into their company and making them what they became, and then two, having the downright generosity to just, when I needed them back for the division, saying, you can have them, here you go. So it was great that they not only honed the talent that I released, not only made them into the incredible stars that they are today, but they were willing to give them back after the job was done. That was, that was a great bit. But the idea for this women's division is I want this women's division to embarrass me. I want them to make me look like an absolute arse for releasing them 2 years ago, and now they come back, and, already they're doing a really good job of that. I mean, the first match we had for the women's title between Sasha and Becky Lynch, you can argue, that was match of the night on Survivor Series, which was already a stacked card. Then at Armageddon, you have Becky Lynch and Alexa Bliss go at it. That was a solid match. And just a few nights ago at TLC, Sasha and Charlotte went at it. And then once again, another incredible match. So far, since its return, the women have proved me wrong, and I wanted to get bigger, better, and badder from here on out.
So that it's safe to say, of course, as you mentioned, someone like Sasha Banks making a lot of strides here early on in this women's division. Is she someone you can rely on and sort of make the face of this division?
I think we've got, it's not just Sasha. There is numerous names that we can make the face. We've pretty much the starting face, it seems, is Becky Lynch, and that's a solid face to go with right off the start. You've got Sasha, you've got Charlotte. You can go with Bayley, Asuka. There are so many names in that division that can lead that division forward. And even then, even beyond those, you've got more talent, in Shimmer and Shine and those kind of promotions that can lead the division for years to come. So, yeah, I guess there is no kind of worry about, faces of the division and who to have going on out, because they're doing a great job, I have to be honest.
Listen to you talk about them, and it's so great to have someone who can look over a whole division, have so much faith in what they're doing. We do want to go ahead and turn to more of a fan question, thoughts coming in from the fans, of course. They're worried you didn't have so much faith in the NWO, and some people are asking, what are your thoughts now that they're dead, and now that NWO is no longer? Was it really a matter of you getting back control, or what's the story there?
Well, I couldn't have faith in the NWO because there was no faith to have in the NWO. I couldn't have control over them because there was never control to begin with. You're talking about a group of 3 men who completely just flipped the rule book upside down, ripped out all the pages and burned them and made their own rules as they went along. They, to an extent, they took ECW hostage and made it their own show. They orchestrated a master plan with Michael Bennett. This was a group that demanded control in their own ways and took control from the executives up top, from myself in that aspect, and made it about them. So when they died, obviously you can hear it in Survivor Series, there were so many emotions I have. I'm speechless. I'm flustered. I just don't want to stop. I don't want this moment to end. It was, without a doubt, one of the greatest moments in the history of the universe for me, because that death meant that this was once again the Project universe. It wasn't the universe that the NWO is trying to take over. That, I think, was the best moment. There was never faith, there was never control, because the NWO, they didn't want that. They wanted control, and they just wanted their own company. They were trying to out people like myself so they could be at the top. So when they died, I loved every moment of it, and it's been 2 months since that happened, and I still love it.
So, yeah, it must be great having so much control. Another thing we do want to look at, do you anticipate another group maybe perhaps coming up and taking over again? Or has the company actually made so much progression in ensuring that doesn't happen in the future?
It's difficult. That's a difficult question to answer, because it's happened so many times at this point. We've had Europe's Finest, the $1 Million Corporation, the Shield, Scum, the NWO. All sorts have all done different ways of taking over brands. I think the NWO was the worst case of it, because they wanted total control. Regarding that, the only one I could say right now off the top of my head seems like the DCC, but they're in NXT, and they seem like they're more opposed on just taking out talent more than what they are taking over a roster or a universe. So there's no real worry about that. I think for now, we're in a solid ground where we can just relax and look at what's going on and not spend every day panicking about what the group that's trying to take over has planned next.
You mentioned talent, and talent is something you have a lot of. You work with Raw, SmackDown, NXT, ECW, so many different brands of men competing in this company. When we look at all this talent, a lot of the fans do like to think that there's a favoritism towards Bobby Fish. All these opportunities first going to him almost. So the people do want to know is, why Bobby Fish?
Let's, in a way, Bobby Fish as a person is not incredibly likable. He has his own mentality to him. He has Paul Heyman in his corner, so he's going to have an ego to himself. But he had the balls, let's just put that out there. He had the balls to betray his tag team partner only 6 months after making his debut in this universe and after winning the titles with him, to pursue his own singles career. That is ballsy enough. Within that, then, he becomes a title threat for the Intercontinental Championship by himself. That was no favoritism. He managed that by himself, and then he goes on and becomes the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. And then after that, after everything that goes on, he gets to a position where he's too dominant as Intercontinental Champion, and he needs that spot up for the WWE Championship. Could you argue it seemed like favoritism? Yes. Could you argue that maybe too many things went his way? Yes, you could, but you cannot deny that even now, once he's become WWE Champion, the names he's knocked off, the lack of losses in his career, it is not a matter of favoritism, it is a matter of we are witnessing one of the greatest wrestlers of all time destroy SmackDown because he is just that good. It is, there's no bias, there's no Paul Heyman having his own way. This is Bobby Fish going in there, destroying SmackDown, making a name for himself, and proving how great he is. The idea of favoritism is ridiculous.
So, if not favoritism, and when we're looking at this, perhaps is it really, superstars getting the opportunity for themselves? And if so, if the question is, what are the plans for the future, is it appropriate to ask you?
Plans
and,
for the future.
If so, what are the immediate plans?
It's difficult to say because we are in untested waters now. 2 months ago, we decide, let's have all the brands have their own exclusive pay-per-views. Let's shift it so that, every month we don't have 7 title matches on a pay-per-view, but we have 3 to 4 and then a bunch of different matches. There's a lot of self-reliance on brands right now, and it just gets, we're in a time where we're just going day by day more than what we are planning for the future. But hopefully, what is going to happen heading forward is that after this Rumble, we move on to potentially the biggest WrestleMania we've had. Not in the way of feuds, maybe not in the way of matches on the card, but more in the way of the people actually there to witness it. Because obviously this is the spectacle, the grand spectacle. We want to put on the biggest show possible. So if there's any future plans, it's just making sure that WrestleMania can be the best that it can be. Making sure that these brand split pay-per-views are solid and work and keep on driving in, the more talent getting featured, the better quality of wrestling, that kind of thing, and helping all the brands becoming exclusive in their own ways. And I guess one last one would be to put more focus on NXT, because that came around, and first things first, we thought, oh, here we go, here's a brand that we can joke about and have just a mess around time on commentary. But with the arrival of the DCC, with people like Chris Sabin making a name for themselves, with more talent debuting down there, it's becoming more and more difficult to stop joking about that brand and genuinely treating it as a fourth brand. So heading forward, I guess the main intention is to put NXT on the map, like we've done with Raw, SmackDown, and ECW, because it's obvious they've got the talent. They just need the time to prove that roster is can be a threat towards the other 3.
Great. And one final question. I know we were just talking about that. You just brought this up. We're on the road to WrestleMania. One simple question from me to you. Dream matches. Are there any, what matches would you personally like to see go down at WrestleMania?
Dream match. Oh, you are asking a question right there. I mean, there are really so many different kind of matches to go down, and I would need time to think. Right now, the main match that I would love to see go down, it can't happen because they're both champions, but in a dream world, it could happen actually. You never know, anything can happen between now and WrestleMania, is Nakamura against Bobby Fish. Arguably the 2 greatest in the ring right now. Nakamura's only lost once since making his debut. Bobby Fish has lost a handful of times in 2016. They are incredible. They are stealing the spotlight and running with it. They are, without a doubt, probably the 2 greatest wrestlers we have on the roster. So I would absolutely love to see them 2 go at it. And I guess it's happened already at WrestleMania, but I would be down for another Wade Barrett and Cesaro matchup. I feel as if that main event was disappointing and they had so much more to offer. So, in a way, I hope that goes down, but really, I really want Nakamura and Fish. That's my main one.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys enjoyed tonight's first edition of the State of the Universe address to the man behind ProJake. Thank you very much for joining us here tonight.
Well, obviously I'm going to end the State of the Universe address how I started it, by saying thank you once again for having me. But it's not just you I want to thank for being here and all this and setting everything up. There is one other key demographic that needs thanking. And obviously, it's not me, it's not you, it's the now over 1,000 people subscribed to this channel. Let's just put something into perspective. This ending bit is going to be very cringy. I'm just going to put that out there. But I feel as if I have a right to be a little bit cringy when one of the biggest things that could possibly happen onto a small channel has occurred, when you get the comma by your name. I mean, start of 2016, we had maybe 200 subscribers. I don't know the exact number. But to end the year with 1,000 is just astounding. It's beyond anything I could ever imagine. And it just makes me so incredibly happy. And once again, there's a fire lit under my arse to want to continue this. I mean, there was times when, especially in like the middle of this year, when I was tired, bummed out, depressed beyond belief, and just not feeling it, when I was like, why do I do this? And now, I can look at this right now, when you get all the support that you get, when people say, this is, they enjoy watching the videos, when you have points made underneath your own video regarding your universe, when you have genuine things happening and you have people who are actually wanting to watch your content, that is why I do this. It is beyond belief to have that number, and genuinely, this has been one of the greatest years of my life, just because this has been the best year for the channel. And it has been a year that I can look back at and I can be proud of everything that has occurred. And that's, while you can say that is through me, through what I've had to do and all that, the fact of the matter is, each and every one of you watching this video, each and every one of you subscribed, has helped me get to this point. I wouldn't make it to 1,000 subscribers. I can't give myself 1,000 subscribers. Obviously, there's not 1,000 people, obviously, but the fact of the matter is 1,000 people have clicked that subscribe button is maddening to me, and I love it. I don't know. I'm not trying to sound egotistical or anything here, but I genuinely love the support. I love, making videos, and that's the key thing. And that's why we do stuff like this, the State of the Universe address. It's something that is a bit out of left field, but I love the idea of making it. Credit to Renoah Young for actually coming up with the idea for this, but I wanted to do it as a way of just giving you some ideas as to why things occur in this universe, and also as my way, of, at this end, adding on this little thank you bit to it. It sounds cringy, it sounds bad, but I genuinely owe so much thanks to you, and this isn't even really the 1K celebration video. We have absolutely no idea what to do for that, because we just don't know what to do. We just genuinely have no genuine idea as to what to do to say thank you for 1,000 subscribers, because in an own way for me, I don't know if there's enough that I can do to give back to you to say thanks, because this is honestly a feat that I will never forget. So thank you all for this, and here's to hoping that 2017 is as good as 2016, if not even better. But I now have to wrap it up because Renoah Young got bored and walked off. That is going to end the first State of the Universe address. If you want to wonder when the next one's going to be, tune in after WrestleMania, when we will have more questions to what has happened between now and WrestleMania, including the Royal Rumble, and maybe some other questions. Some asked maybe by Renoah Young, some asked by you. If you want to ask questions as well regarding this universe, I will be down in the comments answering questions that you have. So with that being said, thank you for listening to the first State of the Universe address. I, of course, am the man behind PROJAKED in this scenario. Well, thank you for 2016, and let's move on to 2017. Thank you guys for watching or listening. Take care, guys, and Sarah.